Hey guys, Jesse from In the Wilderness here, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about how to put together a set list. I know some new musicians that are just starting off, they have their first gig, or maybe they're a couple gigs in, and they're still trying to figure out how to put together a set list. And so I just wanted to give you some tips and tricks of the trade. So with a set list, it's all about the journey that you're taking your audience on. It's about the balance of the songs that you have within your set list and having kind of an ebb and flow throughout the whole set list to keep things interesting and to keep your audience's attention. And so with the journey that you're taking your audience on, you want to be thinking about, first off, this beginning of the journey. So where your audience is at the very start. So whether that is in physical, where they're at, like in a bar or coffee shop or club or whatever, you probably don't want to start off with a super sad, emotional, slow song. You want to probably bring some energy to the party to start it. And that will usually last for like 2 to 3 songs. You can kind of feel it out and shape it around your specific band and style and whatnot. But then you can kind of, if you have too much energy, it'll just kind of peak and stay there. And so back to that balance, having that ebb and flow. So that's a time when you can kind of dip down, kind of bring things down, maybe more acoustic, or bring the tempo down, bring in one of those, more introspective type songs. And then once you've kind of dived down and kind of touched that part, you don't want to stay there too long. Jenny and I, we actually have quite a few slower songs just because that's kind of the nature of our music, the singer-songwriter folky type music. We have a lot of kind of more slower introspective songs. And we also love those kind of songs, and so we want to cover those kinds of songs. But in a performance setting, if you have too many of those in a row, it causes the audience to get bored, become disinterested, and so you want to bring it back up with something interesting and new and different or energetic or whatnot. Like I said before, it's all about that ebb and flow, that balance, and taking your audience on that journey with you. And so I'd encourage you to be creative with this as well. If it doesn't necessarily mean tempo or energy, it could just mean that you do a cover of something that is very different than anyone's ever heard before. Something that Jenny and I do is we created a mashup of a bunch of Katy Perry songs and slowed them way down. And so Jenny's singing one of Katy Perry's hits while I'm singing another one on top of her, and we're kind of like dueling these 2 Katy Perry songs. It's a slower song because we broke it down and it's very acoustic, but it's so different from what people have heard that it could be put in the middle of a set list right after a slow kind of emotional song, and it could still kind of suffice for that interesting creative aspect. Then when you're finishing a set list, you essentially want to finish strong with a really great song, a really well-rehearsed song. Whether that's a cover or an original, I would usually go with an original because you want to show how awesome you as a band or you as a solo artist are. But hey, if you do an awesome cover and you just are really good at that cover, then end with that. Whatever it is, that's the high note that will make you stick out in your audience's minds, go with that. I would actually say to start and finish strong, so that way you are very memorable and your audience can really take that journey from the beginning and really finish and end well with you. So something to think about throughout the entire set list as well is transitions, transitioning from one song to the next song to the next song to the next song. So whether that is making sure that 2 songs that are of the same key are right next to each other so you can flow straight into it, or telling a story about a song before you play it or maybe after you play it. or maybe just telling a funny story, or introducing yourself and talking about your social medias and what products you have to offer. You want to be thinking about these transitions and where to place them and the appropriate place to place them. It wouldn't be very appropriate to talk about your website and your social medias right after you sang a song about a really, really hard breakup. And it's really sad and emotional, and you want to, like I said, you want to imagine like these audience members are taking this journey with you. So if you have just sang a song about heartbreak, they're thinking about their heartbreak. And so to immediately go into that and be like, hey, by the way, I have a website, and you should check out my album, and we're on social media too. That's not really great. Maybe tell a story after that, and then go into a more, upbeat song, a lighter themed song, and then talk about your website. Something like that. You get the gist. So, a common mistake that Jenny and I see often with new bands that are just starting out is they don't have a good balance. They don't have a good ebb and flow. And so they'll start off really strong, and then they'll dive down deep, and they'll kind of just like sit in the trenches for a while. Or they'll start off strong and they'll stay strong, dip down, stay strong. And that's not really good either, because then your audience gets tired. They are feeling that energy that you're giving off, but then they eventually kind of get tired of that energy. So you have to break it up. So once you have your set list together and you think it's really solid, now comes the practicing. And so before your gig, make sure to practice that set list over and over and over and really well rehearse it. I'm talking even about the transitions, even the moments that you're talking about your website or merch or whatever. Practice those moments, because that's going to be all the much smoother in performance, and it's going to help your audience connect with you and see you as a professional even more so. Essentially, when you practice your set list, you want to be practicing as if you're performing in front of your audience. And that also means the transitions in between. Practice telling your story, practice, how you're going to say it and how you're going to express it. And then, most of all, I want to encourage you guys to have fun with your set lists. I really enjoy putting together set lists. Jenny does too. I love putting them together with her. And it's fun because then a new side of our creativity gets to be shown, where we can go, what about if we covered that song here and we talked about that song here, and it would be funny if we did this song like right after that song or whatever. It's fun to put that together, and then it gets us all the more revved up and jazzed to actually play that show and connect with our audience. So thanks guys so much for watching. If you have any questions about this, or if you need some help with your set list, feel free to private message us. We love talking to you guys about stuff like this, and we would love to help you out in any way that we can. Also, if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to our blog here. If you subscribe, you'll be getting a free month-long encouragement journal for musicians, where we're going to be highlighting a song each and every day that we love and we find encouragement from, and we encourage you to draw some positivity and some encouragement from it. So thanks guys so much. We love you, and see you next time.